survivor to come out on March 6th, a day of action to support George Floyd's family as well as our cases, to demand that they reopen our cases and prosecute the officers. Each and every city, we need everybody to stand up because you are your loved ones' voices and they need to be heard. This is not just about one case, this is about all our cases, and we need justice for our loved ones. So I'm asking each and every one of you to do a day of action in your city. Here in New York, we are going to march to the Capitol and demand Governor Cuomo and Letitia James, Attorney General Letitia James, reopen our cases and prosecute these killer cops. Are you tired of all these fake activists speaking for you and not getting your loved ones the recognition that you deserve? You need to be your loved one's voice. You need to have strength and get your loved one justice because it's about them and not these fake activists. So I'm asking each and every one of you to come out on March 6th as well as May 24th and show support and solidarity with each and every one of us because we all we got. Justice for each and every voices stolen and justice for us.
Hi, my name is Adrian Hood, and I am...
Mic check, mic check. This is West Wednesday. We are at week 396, and this week is a special West Wednesday broadcast where we are going to be talking about mass action for George Floyd, hashtag J4Floyd, J for all, justice for Floyd, justice for all. I'm going to turn it over to Tawanda. Mic check, mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Yeah. So again, thank you, Ben, for introducing that. And like I said, this is a special West Wednesday, and this is again week 396, day 2,772. And you know, we were fighting for accountability, not just for my big brother Tyrone West, but literally for all the victims of police brutality. I call it police terrorism, and we're just sick of the Doug and Pony show. And we are basically galvanizing, being a part of a big action with mass action. And I have Brian, and he's one of our special guests tonight. He's going to talk to us about our special action plan. And we just got off a big Zoom meeting over the weekend. We had over 100 plus families, you know, there, and it's not about one particular family. That's why I love this. It's about all of our families, because together we will win. You know, divided we will fall, and that's the thing that I love about mass action. And then also with all the other coalition groups that we have basically been a part of. It's no one fight, because one, guess what? One family can't win this. Unfortunately, none of the families affected by police brutality, or none of the victims that are affected by police brutality, the ones that survived, ever asked for this. This was something that we wouldn't wish nobody. I wouldn't wish my worst enemy the type of pain, trauma. It is real. It's reality. Unfortunately, it's our reality, you know. And again, Like I said, the Zoom meeting that we did with Mass Action this weekend, it was very intriguing. And I just want to thank all the families that I reached out to and everybody for like participating. Just thank you guys and just be looking forward to us doing another one this Sunday. But no further ado, I'm going to bring in our brother Brian. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mike check.
Mic check. So I'm very happy to be able to participate with y'all in this show and just try to shed some light on the context behind this action, because unlike many other protest actions we've seen, there's a purpose here that is very intentional, and that is to put the voices, not just the voices, but the leadership of the families at the center of organizing these actions. We want the families' voices not only on the microphone during the actions, not just to be actors, but to be directors in figuring out the line and the course of what needs to happen. Now, May 24th, 2020, with the killing of George Floyd, we witnessed a deep-going resistance that hasn't happened in the United States in a half century, I would say. Across generations, social and economic strata. And it was a continuation of resistance that we saw after the killing of Mike Brown in 2014. There's a potential for a family-centered and community-based energy that flowed out of these things to dominate the scene of the fight against police brutality. But we've seen in each of these cases, in 2014, with the killing of George Floyd, and in many upsurges in between, that these efforts that are based on demanding prosecutions, demanding cases be reopened, and calling for the jailing of cops, killer cops, get sidetracked, derailed, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, by politicians, lawyers, so-called community leaders, and in some cases activists. So this is an attempt to try to put the center back on families. So we encourage everybody in every city that you live in to start with the families, learn them, find them if you don't know where they are in the city where you live, and encourage them and help them call an action on March 6th. We have 4 different kinds of actions, really, and we have a toolkit that this show started with. That's both in video and in writing, that explains the 4 kind of actions that we lay out, tips for how to start. One is being a mass action and rally. One being a car caravan in cases where, for COVID protection, could be some hybrid between those two. One would be a virtual event similar to this, maybe not quite as organized and centralized, because everybody, people are learning how to do this for the first time. But go virtual, have an event that shows solidarity with the day, and the 4th possibility is to do a video. Now, and I'll end with this because maybe there'll be other questions or a direction people want to move in. While the event is called Justice for Floyd, Justice for All, Floyd is the name mentioned, but the all is just as important. What we really actions to accomplish is to begin to highlight the local cases, the ones that aren't so high profile, the ones that get lost in the dust, and give those families a chance to highlight and build support for their individual fights, and to build a team around them of honest activists. Like, yes, I'm affiliated with Mass Action personally, but I consider myself an honest supporter of families in the fight against police brutality, and that's what families need. They need honest supporters who will put them at the center, have their interests in mind, and campaign around these central demands. So I'll just stop there. And once again, thanks for having me. And yeah, any kind of questions or comments, I'm here.
Yeah, so Brian, just thank you again for like joining us. That's really important. And you have been like real, and I appreciate you as well as all the mass action organizers. Because the thing I love about you guys is you guys always put the family first. In a lot of cases when you see these movements, various movements that are throughout, different cities such as Black Lives Matter, it kind of co-opts and takes away from people that are putting in real groundwork, that are putting in boots to the ground, that's demanding nothing less but accountability. So I wanted to give you a shout out for that. But I just wanted to real quick, before I jump in, I wanted to ask Uncle Bill, did anybody make a comment about anything that Brian said? Because I wanted to go into a whole nother conversation about like families and how we're traumatized with what's going on.
I think Marcellus can let us know. There is someone that asked a question actually.
So someone asked a question called, so just that I'm clear, is March 6th call to action is an all-day event. So I guess they want to know if it's an all-day event.
Right. That's a very good question. No, it is not. It's a national day of action that's supposed to happen in every city that it can, and it's supposed to start simultaneously at 2 p.m. Eastern. So on the West Coast, that would be 11 a.m. there, and just take your time zone and do it appropriately. Let me make one more little comment, if that's okay.
Okay.
And that's just following up on a point that Tawanda made. I didn't want to overspeak it and abuse the time in the show, but I want to make this other point that she made that's so important. You do have some forces that get involved in the police brutality fight who have bad intentions, or intentions that are based on filling their pockets and building their clout. They're now being exposed more and more. Like recently came out the multi-billion-dollar coffers of the National Black Lives Matter organization. There's things like that exist that are starting to explain things that we and other families have been saying for a long time. But there's another category, and that is activists and fighters against police brutality who just don't know any better, because they've fallen into the idea that the only way you can fight police brutality is to call for defunding, or that's the most important thing, and that, well, okay, we can put one cop away, but what's that going to do to change the system? And you have people who that's their mentality, so their intentions are in the right place, but their tactics and what they're focusing on are not. And we have a chance to win them to understanding the centrality and importance of the power that exists with the family's honest, genuine call for justice. And when we put them at the center and their demands at the center, all of the power that we need to harness comes into play and will allow some of these other demands that people have to also take more shape. But when you start to counterpose any of those things to the families getting justice for police, that's where my problem starts. That's where I start to have a problem with it. But we have a chance to change the script, flip the script, and do something totally different. So I just wanted to make that point. Thanks again for giving me that extra second.
No, definitely. Thank you. And I just want to run fast and say that, like, I just feel like, especially for dealing with this dirty system, like it is a system that does this divide and conquer thing. It is a system that traumatizes victims that are already traumatized. Like, it's not there to help us out in any sort of way. And the saddest part is you get the poopy end of the stick from both sides. And when I say both sides, I'm talking about dealing with my cousin that was brutally murdered and leaving my family to play the detectives, to play all this stuff with no answers, no support, nothing, a bunch of foolishness, unreal stuff. Like, this is a living nightmare. So I just feel like it is a system designed to do what it's doing. And the saddest part, it's not for black and brown people. I'm just going to speak up, because when even when you have victims of police brutality that are Caucasians, right? They sort of depending on who the victim is. And then it also, to me, revolves too around this capitalist system. You know, because depending on if it's like a poor person that they would deem white trash or whatever, things like that. And it's full with this racist system that we deal with, but it's so real. And if anybody want to play like they don't know what I'm talking about, then shame on them. Or they honestly might don't know, but when you have to deal with the system on so many levels, and I won't wish anybody into dealing with this system before you start, it is horrible. It's disheartening when it comes to brown and black folks, the way we are treated. It's totally different. Like, had my cousin would have been a white person, this would have already been solved. We'd have been getting news, we would have been seeing people on the news, all type of stuff. I'm just over it. I'm completely over it. And again, I'll say in my cousin's case, and until I get answers, every damn body is a suspect. Everybody is a suspect. Nobody is like, everybody's on the list. Until they go completely off everybody. And I'm starting with the big thing first. And that's these killer cops, this police system, and the way they do things. Because I just feel like this whole entire 8 going on years of fighting peacefully, advocating for police brutality and things like that, everything that has been happening to me and my family has been intentional. Let's be crystal clear. There's no like, oh, well, this maybe, you got caught in the wrong. No, everything has been intentional. Like, it's just sad. Like, I look back at when everything broke loose in 2013 when my brother was murdered and we're walking around, but the thing was what they tried to do was divide a strong net family, and that's why we changed the order away. So we've been out here on the streets shutting down town hall meetings, but the part was that they couldn't take, because normally what happens, they play family members against each other, and that's how they do with coalition groups. They'll try to play people against each other. And that's the only way they win, is when they throw dirt again. We all need to stick together and realize one fight, one cause, one purpose. Until we realize that, nothing is going to change. But I just want to let you know, this system is dirty to the core. It ain't no reforming, it ain't no cleaning up, because it's an easy fix. If they really wanted to, many years ago, decades ago, they could have been holding police officers accountable. If we do a type of statistic, that a chart or a graph that will show you how many officers that murdered people, like took our lives, beat us down, did all type of horrific things, have been charged, they haven't been. They haven't been. You maybe have 1 or 2 phony victories, which I call phony because it's phony to the sense of you will play with a family life. But the crazy part that when you talk about community violence and, something like, it's just crazy how they saw what they want to solve, and then they don't know how to handle normal typical cases that they're used to doing. But the crazy part, again, family, I just want to let you guys know, you all need to be the person that advocates for your own family. Don't listen to these damn lawyers. Don't listen to nobody. Follow your heart and do what's right. Be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be transparent. And that's the key. That is the key, because if you get caught up in this game, you will have lawyers, attorneys that say, hey, I'm there for you and your family. Lead you down a dead-end road. You will have judges lead you down a dead-end road. You will have so-called activists. Like, I appreciate what the sister said about these fake activists. It's real. She didn't say that because that was something that sounded cute. She said that maybe that sister met a fake activist that act like they were out there screaming for the cause and really basically trying to lead you down that road. So, like, I love the part where Brian said, being honest. But it ain't too many honest folks out here. That's clear on that. So I wanted to say that. And then I also wanted to give a shout out to you guys and let you guys know we were supposed to have Dre as a guest, but she got caught up. But have no fear, she has her partner in crime, Sebastian, here with us. And he basically is a phenomenal man. I'm sorry I didn't have a picture of him, because I would have definitely posted his picture when I was sharing. Just like I posted our Queen Dre, and I posted Brian's picture. I definitely would have posted his picture, but I got wind of it maybe an hour ago, that he was going to speak. And the thing I love, and I'm going to give John Hopkins for the set and a big shout out because they were being honest and transparent about their demands. And what really pulled me in before I even got to meet them, I literally saw their demands. People were hitting me up, and I saw it. And their demands was, we want justice for Tyrone West. We want, we're saying no to private police and no to ICE. I may not got the order correct, but those were three central demands that and they were serious. Something that started off from, an actual protest. They actually set in more than 30 days. And I know they went through higher traumatization. And that's why I give a big shout out to Dre, because y'all don't know the nightmare that this queen endured. This queen endured, like, oh my God, like, so all of them, so I just give a big shout out to them. And even still now with the legislation piece, it's still the Doug and Pony show. Just like Uncle Bill was going to testify yesterday, and they give us these 1:30 time frames, and you're thinking, oh well, literally by 2, no later than 2:30, I should be on testifying. They'll have you in there all damn night long. It's a part of the show. So what we need to keep in mind, while these people play all these games in the Doug and Pony show, it's always the meeting before the meeting. These jokers know what they're going to do before it's done. We learned last. They sat there and pretend, and that's why I'm like getting over, but I will never stop. But we always just need to just call them out and keep on their heels and hold them accountable, because we as people with voices, we have power. That's why they'll literally try to kill us off. They can't pay you off and make you go away with the mighty old dollar. These people will either kill you or get you sent to jail on some false crime that you didn't do or commit, and have you in there 40, 50, 60 years. Look at Keith Davis, like, just because they won't admit to their wrong. This is the reality in the world that we live in. And the saddest part, the way the system works and is played so perfectly, and it's disgusting that people don't know how evil it is until they're actually caught in it, until their acts is one of their loved ones that are murdered. You get what I'm saying? And then now they're playing the Doug Pony show. Or till they are abused by law enforcement officers, or, and nobody's held accountable. And it's just sad, like, even for our homicide rate, I saw the saddest thing, and I'm going to bring in our guests, but I saw the saddest thing on the news when they were talking about the crimes in our city against women. And most of the women, if you look at the statistics, most of them were black women that were murdered. And the saddest part, they talked about the young lady that was murdered. Not only was she pregnant, she was like almost 9 months pregnant with a son. Like, so she was carrying a son, and then she had a 3-year-old daughter. So her and the baby, both her babies were murdered. So a whole family wiped out. And it's the Doug and Pony show. But had they would have been Caucasian, you would see everything move swiftly. It's just saying, I don't give a damn who did it. It's the fact of how they want to, play this game when it's us. We get the poopy end of the stick always. Always. It's us. And that's how they do it. That's why we get into a point of we're so angry and mad that we can't focus. It comes out in a rage and point. And I respect people that don't do it, but at the same time, I'm in my mind knowing this is what they want us to do, because they want us to act off our emotions. So with me, I try to push my emotions to the side, and it's really hard. And I'm not trying to act like I'm perfect, because some days I can't push my emotion off. I'll just have to like, let me just fall back and don't say anything, because some days you can't push it off. It's too much, way too much. But I say all this to say that just remember, when you fight this fight, let's never fight each other. We're all trying to come together collectively to have our voices heard. And it does infuriate families, because I look at when Freddie Gray was murdered. You get what I'm saying? I was so hurt for one, because I'm like, if they would have took action in Anthony Anderson case that came before my brother and many more, but I think of Anthony Anderson, that, we heard his name on the news, my family, and the first thing I thought, when I heard the name, I thought it was my uncle, because I have an uncle named Anthony Anderson. My family is the Anderson family, but nevertheless, it was just like mind-blowing. And then we had this racist state's attorney, Greg Bernstein, that laughed in Anthony Anderson's family face, and he tried the same bullcrap in my family face. But what we did as a family, a hurting family that stood together, a proud family. We got him out of office. Unfortunately, we, you know, the person that we got in office ain't do a damn thing for my family. It's just like, okay, I walked around, I charaded this to a Freddie Gray thing, and now it's all over it. Like, so whatever, I'm over that too. But I just said all that to say that's not going to stop the fight. But I just want to say, please, let's not fight each other. Let's not get married, because guess what? Freddie Gray family did not ask to go through that pain of abuse and their loved one. So I had to understand that, because I'm like, they didn't hear my family. They laughed at my family for years. We standing out there, rain, sleet, or snow, on the corner by ourselves. They ride past us, talking about, what about community violence, all this stuff, you know, whatever. You know, we went through hell, but we stood out there. We stood firm, whatever. We're going to stand there as a family and represent our love type of thing. But it was like when the uprising happened and stuff started burning down and cameras started coming, then now everybody want to talk about police brutality. So that kind of hurt me, but at the same time, I had to recognize, hey, I'm not going to be mad. Why would I be mad at another family that's hurt? So I look at the George Floyd thing. You get what I'm saying? His, and it's sad that they do, because, like, until stuff start burning down, until the world start putting together for one case, but it's just not about that case, like Brian said. But I'm coming from a family member case, you know, my brother, Tyrone West, and, you know, we represent the West case, but at the end of the day, we are a hurting family, but at the same time, we need to recognize and give homage to, yeah, it's unfortunate and it sucks that it takes one person's name or a few people's names to bring it, but I wouldn't care if it took, I don't care if it was Ronald McDonald name. As long as they're coming, you know, to our cities and want to play like they're hearing our voice, it's a time that we make them do something, because they don't care about us. They don't even care about George Floyd. Let's say it. They might let his killers fall. We don't know what's going to happen, and it's always the Doug approach show. But right now, while we have a chance, let's not fight each other. Let's not get mad. Let's lift up those families that's been out here waiting for us. Let's lift up the voices that we never know about, the ones that you never heard about, that don't unfortunately make the news. Let's stand strong for them. So I'm ready to bring on our guest, Sebastian. Thank you. I'm sorry for going on. Yes.
Before Sebastian comes on, can we see if there's some more comments and questions from online?
I have some more comments. Charlene tagged a couple people, Frank, Everett, Marcus, and Sonny from the local area. Some members with local organizations, and she said March 6th, call to action around police reform and local awareness of victims of police brutality. Bruce said, here's everyone. Good evening, y'all. Good evening, Bruce. Charlene also said, Dre is the truth. And replying to Charlene, Everett Winchester said, it's radiant and it's systemically instilled. Police brutality started with the 1705 Diversity Act. Black people think diversity is good, but the act was created because the popular of slaves populations grew and whites got nervous. So it stated there must be a certain number of whites to keep blacks in check, monitor them, and kill them if needed. This is the beginning of the stand your ground, and the police still use the same mentality.
And can I ask Brian a question before we go to the next speaker?
Sure.
Brian, my understanding is the full name of the organization you described it as Mass Action Against Police Brutality. So I'm wondering if you could just say a few words about the organization and some of the main things they've done in the last year or two.
Well, so it's more than just that. Mass Action Against Police Brutality is one of the organizations that's part of building this action, but it's very important that it took some initiative to reach out to families and find some militant fighters like Tawanda, like Adrian, like Angelique Negroni in New York. Adrian Hood is based in Dayton. Like Sabrina Jordan. But it's a real combination of families and progressive-minded, like-minded, honest supporters that called this action. Maybe with the impetus and some of the infrastructure of mass action against police brutality, but it truly is a child of those series of meetings that happened over the last year, similar to the one that Tawanda mentioned on Sunday, where families get together with us and talk about what needs to be done. So we don't look to try to take any specific kind of credit for this. In fact, we want this to the greatest degree possible to be passed on to local families and organizations to support them to advance this action and the next one moving into May 24th. But there's one thing in those comments that I think is extremely important that I want to speak to. When the person made the post, they summarized what the action was about, calling it an action for police reform. No, that's not what it is. It's very specific. It's calling to it because, the demands are to justice for Floyd, to reopen the cases of where families, where cases were thrown out or where grand juries didn't handle them properly, or where the cop walked, reopening the cases and opening them in situations where they never even got to go to trial, and calling for the prosecution and jailing of police. Those are the central demands of the action, just so that it's clear, which take it on a different course than some of the other actions we've seen happen, especially coming out of the George Floyd incident, which again I say veer it away from the center that it needs to be on. Local demands are extremely important. So if local families have demands to like open the books or give us the tapes or recordings, or in my case in Dayton, some of the families are pushing for a petition to get rid of qualified immunity. All those things are fine, but in the context of specifically the cops that carried out this dirt getting their just desserts. That's the center of this thing. So I just wanted to clarify that when we summarize and tell other people about it, it should be that it's kind of more specific about the demand. It's not a police reform thing. That's not what this is.
Brian, I'm also Brian, and I have a question that I wanted to ask. Because people watch this who are not in our immediate area, I'm wondering, is there a central location or website or presence like that where someone who wanted to hold an action could put up that this action was going to happen in this place, and conversely someone who wanted to go to an action could look and see where there were actions in their area? Is there some sort of a mechanism set up to do that on a larger scale?
Yes. This will be much more firmly in place this weekend. But for now, people can go to the MAAPB.org website, which is Mass Action Against Police Brutality in Boston's website, where they begin to put up initial pieces of this action. People can also request the toolkit that we made that contains the central information. They can request it by reaching out to me. My email address, I'm happy to give it. I'll wait to see if that makes the most sense or if we do something else before the show is over. But we have a written toolkit that explains all the parameters that we're asking people to follow, which are pretty basic. It's basically in the local area, you can do pretty much any kind of action you want as long as you agree with the central demands, and you can add any local ones that you like. So before this is done, let me behind the scenes get with people, and I'll make sure that the information is posted or verbally said or something. But the toolkit has information in it that I'm talking about. It's just a PDF as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. So are we ready to bring on our next guest?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So welcome to
Brian.
Hello, everybody. First of all, thank you for building this space in the struggle. We are thankful that Wednesday after Wednesday we can learn and keep up the fight against police brutality. We are really thankful for that. My name is Sebastian Lim Chaparro, and I participated in the Johns Hopkins University sitting, a group of students and neighbors that participated in the occupation of the main administrative building of the Johns Hopkins University in April 2019. We demanded and still demand Hopkins authorities to put an end to the private police force, to put an end to the contracts with the police of deportation, ICE, and actively support the struggle of Tawanda Jones and West Wednesday for ending police brutality in Baltimore and stopping killer cops right now. Roughly speaking, we are pushing for the demilitarization of Hopkins. That university must stop occupying Baltimore, something its leadership has been doing since the formation of the university. Now, with a private police force, Hopkins wants to militarize the occupation over Baltimore. As you will listen from my accent, I am not from the US, I am from Chile. Recently, we all learned that the US is not the dreamed land they have been selling to us. We all felt the rage against the assassination of George Floyd. After that tragic May 25th, 2020, the people's living in what we call Chile joined the protest. They were already in the street for more than 7 months, protesting for a better life for all and against police brutality. That day, we learned that it was not only our cops who tortured, assassinated, terrorized, and robbed. At this point, our ruling classes in Chile cannot lie to us anymore. They have been telling to us that the Chilean cops also reflect being an underdeveloped country. However, when we look at the US, we do not see that promise of the Chilean ruling classes. In capitalism, getting more developed doesn't mean ending with the oppressions and exploitation of racism, patriarchy, colonialism, and police brutality. If this is the development that the US ruling classes is offering to the world, we do not want it, and we solidarize with all those fighting against it, both inside and outside the US. We do not believe in the US being proud of bringing democracy to the world. This is not democracy. In 1973, the US government participated in overthrowing the Chilean president Salvador Allende. After that, they supported the reorganization of the country under the rule of a civil military dictatorship or funded state terror. For 17 years, the Chilean cops and military agencies, all of them, operated around assassination, torture, and kidnapping of people. Once a new democratic government rose in 1990, the new politicians committed to put an end to the horrors. It will never happen again, they say. They had truth-telling processes and many commissions. There are even books describing the horrors. However, 30 years after, we see how cops, military, and private security forces have still the right to kill, intimidate, and torture. In Chile, just now in February, cops and security forces have killed 2 people, Emilia Milena Herrera and Francisco Martinez. Emilia was part of the struggle of Mapuche communities, indigenous community for Chile, fighting for controlling the land occupied by the Chilean state and big corporations. The security guards of a private property killed her. And Francisco Martinez was a street artist living in a city around the Gualmapu, the land of the Mapuche, killed by a cop after asking him for a ID. These 2 killings are intertwined with the militarization of the Gualmapu, the land of the Mapuche in southern Chile, where the Chilean state is moving toward a dirty war against Mapuche. This needs to stop now and forever. In Baltimore, in the US, in Chile, the Gualmapu and the world. The struggles of Tawanda Jones, West Wednesday, and many others fighting against police brutality in the US are teaching us in Chile things we never thought before. Abolishing the police. People could have different positions about it in the US. However, in Chile, we never heard about it. Thank you for inviting us in the sitting here to speak today. Both in Chile and Baltimore and elsewhere, we are struggling. And through those struggles, we pray together. We do not only share the enemy, this white supremacist capitalist giant that we call US, but we also converge in fighting for a world where we can all live a life with dignity. We get brave for that dream, and I can feel it in West Wednesdays. So thank you again for sharing this space with all of us. And well, see you all on March 6th to the Mother Okay, 2 days before the trial is set to start, the verdict showing the main racist killer cop who orchestrated and perpetrated the stealing of George Floyd's life. Let's keep the fight up, because nobody has the right to kill and torture all human beings. No one and no more. In Chile and the US, the cops and military forces are allowed to kill the very people they claim to protect. And we will continue fighting until they stop. See you all on March 6th to keep the fight up, and thank you very much for inviting us.
Thank you, Sebastian, for sharing that. We heard kind of like an echo, like a little bit of static. I'm wondering if it's your equipment. Could you try to say something else? Like, we heard you, but it was like this real weird, like, echo. But I definitely heard everything you said.
Yeah, I'm sorry there. Does it hear better? Does it?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. It's just like a little echo thing. I don't know.
Whoa, I'm sorry, yeah. I don't know. Yeah. What I was trying to share is that in Chile, in my country, there have been protests going on for already 7 months. They have been, the cops and the military appeared again, torturing and killing the people. There have been a lot of assassinations. Just the last months, they killed 2 people. In the area where the Mapuche, the indigenous people, live, and the Chilean state took over this land in the 1800s. And now they have militarized the area, they have killed a lot of people right now. They are, they are putting bullets in children. They live their everyday life, and the cops are in their households, inside them. So I was calling for this solidarity across the world, and hope we learn from the struggle of you all, that actually you can think in abolishing the police, in ending this racist police. We never believe that. Usually in Chile, believe you can think, oh, this is a cost. The police is like that. We cannot change it. But the struggles in the US have shown us that, yeah, you can fight for it. And you can change it, as Brian was saying too. That is, I hope, sorry if it doesn't hear really well. I will come again with a better microphone.
Thank you. So do we have any questions for our guests? You see any more?
I don't see any questions in the comments, just posting the link that Brian shared, as well as a couple comments about from Hillary, where it says, it makes so much sense to center action on lifting up the voices and demands of the families of victims of police brutality. And I feel like, you know, we share that in common globally, you know, especially, you know, even with the people in Chile, you know, their fight is our fight as well.
I have a question for Sebastian. On the 300th week of West Wednesday, it was during the sit-in at Johns Hopkins University, and the West Wednesday group and Tawanda in particular were very bold, and we're coming up in 4 weeks for the 400th week of West Wednesday. I'm wondering if you could remind people what happened on that 300th week of West Wednesday, which also happened to have fallen on May Day.
Yeah, whoa, yeah, that was like, yeah, that was strong. Like, I remember I never saw that energy. To be honest, like it was a really unique energy of the struggle, this vibration that I was talking about. Because I remember you all like talking all the experience, like the assassination of Tyrone West and the struggle that has been going on. And we see also how Hopkins was trying to make you not coming. They were threatening Tawanda. I remember the lawyer, it was that, I'm not wrong, no, yeah. These people like, yeah, calling her like, if you come, like you can face like kind of legal problems. We will call or that in a state to go against you, and we will use all our money for that. However, we were all there, like a lot of people, and you could see how one after the other telling the story and showing how this country is not what they sell to the world. is not what they make us to believe. Even here in US, a lot of people say, I'm proud because at least we are not as bad as other countries. Sorry, in Chile, we don't do a lot of stuff that your cops do. And our cops are hard. They have been torturing for 17 years during the dictatorship. And they even still, like, people talk like, oh my God, the police in US is crazy. It's crazy. It's like how white supremacy operate there. It reminds me to like the white supremacy against the Mapuches. That's why I was bringing that back. So yeah, the 300 was like, I would say, like, you can see the strength of the history and the struggles that have been going on in Baltimore for decades, for centuries now, in Baltimore and the US, and that is strength I could feel with you all. And like, yeah, really thank you very much for allowing us to be part of that struggle too. Like, we are all fighting for this dignity for all, and it's always good to see each other and recognize each other in these struggles.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then I also want to thank Uncle Bill for that great question, because it had me have a flashback, because that was a real powerful, like, each time we hit like the 100 mark and we keep going, because I remember when I first hit the 100 week of West Wednesday, I'll never forget Back Alley Productions. They covered us. We went down to literally downtown. We marched from like City Hall all the way to the courthouse, and it was real powerful. And then like for the 200 one, it was another action we did downtown in front of Mitchell Courthouse, and it kind of was surrounding like when we got accountability for Abdul Salam. So all that was like kind of hitting at once, and it was like real powerful. And then when we had the 300 West Wednesday night, oh my goodness, like we had thousands of folks doing the Green Route, like in collaboration with, the Southern. It was just like so many people showed up, and I was like, it was amazing. Like we went through like 300 T-shirts as if it was like not even like, oh my God, we went through them in like 2 seconds. It was like they were all gone. It was like amazing. But the thing what I wanted, and I'm glad Sebastian said it, because, and that's why I was saying that everything that has happened to my family and myself has been intentional acts. You can't Hollywood couldn't make this stuff up. I think I need to write my own book and get the word out there, like literally, because I remember all the other different coalition groups that were back, and like I said, it was thousands of people on the street, but so many people were back and they had that much respect for the setting students, for putting their bodies on the line, for studying in so long, and not bending, not folding, and upholding righteousness. So everybody like was supporting them. But what had happened was, out of all the different groups that actually, some groups even came stayed the night with them. But little old me, they called my attorney, Ronnie Key. I'll never forget, and his threat was clear, it was delivered. It was one of those things like, oh, tell Miss Jones that she if she comes up on the campus, we're gonna basically get her for laundering or whatever. I love the smoke. That turned me completely on, and I flew there. And it turned me completely on. I flew there. Like, I love the smoke. Like y'all did the worst when y'all killed my loved ones. So with y'all little phony threats, I don't give a damn. But the good part I loved about it was that night Uncle Bill was really clear, and he said, because I was like, I want all the smoke type of thing, I don't care. And I was going to walk to my car by myself, but Uncle Bill was like, no, he volunteered, and he got two other people to volunteer to actually walk me to my car. And I'm so glad that they did, because I didn't think nobody was going to, I got the threat. I'm thinking, worst case scenario, but you never know what we've done with these doubters, but I'm thinking they were going to try to come up there and maybe try to say I was, foolishness. So I'm like, whatever. We had a bunch of people know that wasn't the case. But anyway, as we were walking, I'll never forget, we saw a city cop car pulling into Hopkins, but when they saw us, they busted a U-turn. It looked like it was really scared or whatever. And then as we were walking, and my car was parked like back over there where they had all that, those Confederate statues or whatever, that little park area. And it was really dark and secluded. So they walked, but it was this white racist guy standing with his teenage son yelling racial remarks, and even had the nerve to swing on Opal in Go Hard. That's how Go Hard got her name, because she definitely wasn't going for that foolishness. But the fact, like, what would have happened if I would have just went to my car by myself? Who knows what would happen? So I just want to let you guys know that these attacks that they do are deliberate. So, do we have any questions or comments? Night chat.
My check.
We have a couple comments. Charlene says, thanks Sebastian for the story and recap. Everett said, did this sister say she love and want that smoke? Sometimes you have to be ready for the smoke.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you and joining Eddie's our new family member. He's going to be joining us as much as he can. And don't feel like you have to, because I know sometimes this stuff get overwhelming. So if you need a break or whatever, we just appreciate you as long as we can have you. But don't feel like you have to do it, because if you don't, but we definitely truly appreciate you. I just want to give you a big shout out. So as we move on, just keep in mind, guys, we gotta plan something big and make something happen, because we coming up with 400 weeks, y'all. So if y'all can think of anything, we gotta get that. I know we're in a pandemic, the pandemic, all of that combined together, but we definitely gotta turn up somewhere for this 400 West Wednesday. So before we go on, Brian, do you want to say anything before we bring the other Brian on with the sad, horrible list that we read of the homicides right here in our city?
Well, just that, thank you again. As we know, they're killing us at a clip of 3 a day, 3 people a day. And this won't stop until we're able to build a movement that centers on making individual cops feel like if they do this, that there will be direct consequences. That is the most important thing. And solidaridad con mi gente en Chile. But I just want to say that, like, as you discovered the possibility of the demand to abolish police, also understand that underneath that, to me, everybody has their own opinion, but the most important demand is in the United States, I know for sure, is to make the individual cops responsible, because cities and city governments here are more than happy to claim that they're making reforms or claim they're going to train the cops better next time. They make all kinds of promises about what they'll do next time to avoid taking responsibility for what they've already done. So as long as those things, anything abolished, as long as those things don't run counter to making to people being held accountable who did stuff already, then I'm down with it. But I'm glad to be here. Thanks once again to Wanda. And the reason good people meet each other is because they're heading on the same course. And I'm more than confident that we will meet some more good, honest people as we do this work.
Amen. I believe that too. And I just like the honest people that I deal with daily. I just thank, a big shout out to the West Coalition. Big shout out to the different coalition groups that are actually doing the real work. And I think that half the time we don't hear anything about, like, half the time nobody talks about Shut 'em Down Shorty and how he's been feeding the homeless forever and just doing different things, like doing his stuff through his art of his toilet, and just like getting the word out about different issues that we all face. Shout out to Back Alley, that's always in the cut, that's always like pushing out stuff. He does great graphic work. Shout out to Charlene, shout out to Ceasefire, and shout out to everybody that's doing the work. Shout out to JC that's actually feeding folks. Right now they just had him in the newspaper. So shout out, I love when you guys do that work. Like, it's needed. Like, this is something we really like. Sometimes they'll say stuff in the media, they're not even giving you the whole entire story of what, you know, a person goes through to actually put their blood, sweat, and tears. Shout out to my brother Boom that's holding me down. You know, shout out to 300 gangsters that's always been holding me down. So just shout out to everybody, anybody that's doing work out here, the real work that's definitely needed. So as we go on, I want you guys to keep that in mind. Keep on doing the good work that you're doing. I know that it's hard sometimes, it's discouraging, but don't be discouraged, be encouraged. Keep doing that good work because we definitely, every piece of it is not in vain. Somebody is waiting for you to do good work. Like shout out to people that are not even in coalition groups that say, you know what, I want to be a different maker. Because I look at, you know, just the different families and ways that they help people out. Like one little good deed can go a long ways, a long ways. I'm just thankful for all you guys being in the space. I'm just so thankful. I don't know what I would do without you guys. Literally, like we give people flowers when they're gone. I'm gonna give y'all flowers right up here. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Like, you know, we just gotta win this. Like always, and I love when Brock and Brian say until we win. Like don't be here until we win. It's just that easy. It's just that simple. We just cannot let the Doug and Pony show dictate whether we're gonna stop. That's easy. That means they won. That means the minute we give up, that means they already won, and it's not gonna happen. We had way too much. We have nothing to do but our chains. Nobody could have said it no better than South support, but thank you guys so much. So we're ready to go on real quick for the sake of time. Brian, our Brian from West Windsor, do you have that sad, horrible list?
Yes, I do, Twanda. And actually, I wanted to share just one or two things really quickly before I got to the Baltimore list. There's another list that has come out in the past couple days that I think deserves some attention, and that is a list that has Daniel Prude and Elijah McClain on it, and that's the list of cases where there's the prosecutors decide there's going to be no charges brought against police who have committed crimes against these people. Both these people were in mental trauma. Both of them were accosted by police officers. Both of them were quickly thrown to the ground, put in restraints, and died of asphyxiation. And there's Daniel Prude was in Rochester, and I think Elijah McClain was somewhere in Ohio. And both of these cases have been in the national news, but it's now been there's the local prosecutor's not going to bring any charges in them. And related to that, the case of Ahmaud Arbery, I just wanted to kind of highlight because in pretrial motions today, the lawyers for his killers put in a motion to not allow him to be referred to in court as the victim. And this is because these two men who chased this man down in their pickup truck and pulled a shotgun on him, their contention is that they were the victims in this. And so, I just think it's a level of foolishness and not even foolishness, just arrogance that we just, it just needs to be called out. We need to see just how far white supremacy goes, where people can just say these things that are completely against any normal, rational sense of things. And so that's the list of sort of recent atrocities committed in the name of justice in this country. And then I wanted to mention a book that I've put a request into the library. It's called The Sum of Us, and it's a book. It's about what's called the drained pool effect, and where that comes from is in the early parts of the 20th century, from the 20s through the 50s. There was a huge spree of municipal pools being built and huge parks being built, and a lot of investment in infrastructure. And of course, all of this was, was for whites only. All these parks and pools were for whites only. And then in the 50s and 60s, they started having to integrate these pools and parks because of various court decisions. And instead of integrating them, the many cities closed these parks, filled the pools up with dirt, and just destroyed what was what was a great thing that they had for their kids and their community. They destroyed it rather than share it with black people. And the author of this book describes a couple other situations. In particular, she talks about higher education, how once states supported higher education to the point that a person could go to college and earn a college degree with nothing but a part-time job and come out with no debts. But once those colleges became integrated, states stopped funding them. The federal government went from giving people grants to go to school and paying scholarships to go to school. Instead, it became a loan system, and so now you can't go to school, in higher education without accumulating a huge pile of debt. And here again, people have taken a perfectly good thing that they had in their community and destroyed it rather than share it with black people. And this is this is something that really bears thinking about a lot when you think about the depth of racism and the way that racism hurts people, and even white people are hurt by racism. Obviously not in a comparable way at all, but yet they're willing to destroy public goods of their own for racist purposes. So I just think that that's a book that more people should know about and should read. It's The Sum of Us is the name of it. And then lastly, it's the job that I've taken on to talk about the people here in Baltimore who have been lost to violence. This week, I just have two names, and I ask you to echo them back to me. On Thursday, Apollo, age 40. And on Sunday, Melvin Hairston, age 33.
Melvin Hairston.
Thank you.
And Brian, can you read that first name, please?
Sure. Justin Bucalo.
Justin Bucalo.
Justin Bucalo.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Brian. And I love how
Thank you, Brian.
broke down about what was going on, because I heard different news about, the police brutality, murders, getting away again with bloody murder. But we definitely need to call a spade, and the way that they're putting, our people into like these chokeholds and smuggling them to death. It's the same thing that they did to my brother Tyrone West, and they get away with it. It's like, so that it has to be something there. Like, are they trained that way? Like, 'cause they know how to actually apply enough pressure to where so that they smother somebody completely after they're dead. So that takes some type of a hell of a training. They're trained to kill us. Like, it's just that simple. So it's just really sad. And then I also love how you brought up about Ahmaud Arbery, and like I didn't even hear that. I missed that, but for them to actually say that they can't refer to him as being a victim, like, are you freaking kidding me? But again, it's just this racist system that does this foolishness, this horrible stuff, this horrific stuff, and gets completely away with it. It almost reminds me of the Trayvon Martin situation. Then you got this young teenager, and 911 told him, oh, don't go after him, leave him alone. You got this vigilante with this racist vigilante foolishness that say, you know what, I'm gonna take the law into my own hands. I'm gonna kill him because I can, and I'm gonna get away with it. And then on top of it, I'm gonna sell the gun and do an auction. And you got remind me of the Courage movie that gets off on this, and they're actually throwing in dollars. Like, oh, I want it for this amount. Like you freaking tell them. Kidding me. It's disgusting. It's horrible. But these are our realities. But I just wanted to again thank you for pointing that out, and thank you for always being like really on point with your reporting. Like, you always bring us to fire. And as you said, I wanted to also remind the folks of the names that we just heard, the two names that we heard. But we know that there's many. Sometimes it takes, for the media to put it out there, it takes them, they always be a week behind. And I think that's strategically done too, because they don't want to put out all of names at once, because then the people start thinking like, hold up, we got a serial killer out here? Yeah, I said it. I freaking said it. So they'll break it up into little groups. No. Watch what's going on in your own goddamn community, because it can easily, and it will be, if we don't take these horrible acts of violence against our folks' service. It will be. Trust me, it will be. And it's just sad. You may be that one phone call away from that call you don't want to hear in the middle of the night or the middle of the day when someone's telling you your loved one was gunned down or was involved in an act of violence. Life gone. Don't think anybody can't. I mean, it can happen to anybody, but at the same time, it's happening to us, and nobody is doing anything. And I want to give a big shout out before I forget to Ryan Dorsey, Councilman Ryan Dorsey, because on this week I saw in the news that he had made a comment about, and he called the FOP out, they're racist, you know, and they try to put out about their drugs, whatever, you know, foolishness. He called them out, and but shame on our Commissioner Harris, to sit up there and he's defending the FOP, and they can't stand him. He's like a house Negro to them. They don't care, you know, whether you report to the master's house or not. They not looking at you as one of them. They don't even support you. Like, they don't. And we go, that's why that black and white stuff don't mean nothing to me. It's always like, boom, until you put skin in the game, it doesn't even matter what color you are. It's if you put your life on the line, putting skin in the game, then we're going to keep on getting the stuff that happened to us. Like, it's going to keep on happening. And Brian Dorsey puts the skin in the game, and, you know, and it's just a lot going on. And I'm definitely going to be checking it, because I did hear some things that I didn't like, but I like to go to the horse's mouth and heard some other stuff. Now I'm calling my brother up to see what's going on, because it's always two sides to the story, but I definitely want to get his side of the story, and something that's not like what I'm talking about right now, but I definitely want to give him a shout out, because he's unapologetic. He'll say it, and then the news are always trying to push them. Now we got everybody here, the example one in after the commissioner. I love it. Keep up the good work. Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Uncle Bill, do you have that list of police violence?
I do. Before I begin the list, I just want to mention that next week is the first Wednesday of the month in March, and on the first Wednesday of the month, we have something called the Challenge Discussion After West Wednesday group. It's led by the Communist Progressive Labor Party to try and develop more advanced understanding of the politics of revolution. So that'll be next week. And tonight, Brian, our guest from the Midwest, hit the nail on the head when he said that cops on average kill 3 people a day. We have a long list of people that have been recently killed by police around the country. And I'll mention the name and the date and the city for each person. And if you could come in and repeat the name and honor them and uphold them, that would be great. First we have, we're starting on February the 8th. Last West Wednesday we ended on February the 7th. Starting on February the 8th in Idaho Falls, Idaho, 37 years old, Joseph Johnson.
Joseph Johnson.
On the same date, February the 8th, in Oxford, Mississippi, 38 years old, Clay Tatum.
Clay Tatum.
Also on February the 8th, in Gastonia, North Carolina, 33 years old, Shay Jones. On the next day, February the 9th, in Seattle, Washington, 45 years old, Gregory Taylor. Anyone joining us? This is a list of people who've been killed by police around the United States in the last couple of weeks, and we're honoring and upholding the names of each person. Also on February the 9th, in Pennsburg, Pennsylvania, 27 years old, Trey Bartholomew. On February the 10th, in Austin, Texas, 21 years old. This person, unfortunately, has not been identified as of yet. Again on February the 10th, this time in Cleveland, Ohio, 27 years old, Cortez Bogan.
Cortez
Cortez
Bogan.
Bogan.
On February the 11th, in Clemson, South Carolina, 25 years old, Gregory Metz.
Gregory Madden.
Again on February the 11th, Gulfport, Mississippi, 39 years old, Jonathan Turner.
Jonathan Turner.
Jonathan.
On the same day, in Houston, Texas, 20 years old, Edwin Velasquez.
Edwin Velasquez.
Edwin Velasquez.
Again on February the 11th, in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, 38 years old, Clifford Wilbur.
Clifford Wilbur.
In Hot Springs, Arkansas, again on the 11th of February, 29-year-old Jacob Thomas.
Jacob Thomas.
Jacob.
And I'm not including cases of police brutality where the victim did not pass away. These are only people who've been shot and killed by police. We're still on February the 11th, Waterville, Maine, 32 years old, Eric Porter.
Eric Porter.
Again on the same date, February the 11th, in Russellville, Kentucky, Brian Elliott.
Brian Elliott.
Coral Gables, Florida, on February the 12th. We unfortunately don't know his name as of yet. On the 13th, in Pocatello, Idaho, another man was killed by the police, whose name we don't yet know. On the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, in El Paso, Texas, 32 years old, Adam Connors.
Adam Connors.
February the 15th, in Rexburg, Idaho, Troy Allen.
Troy Allen.
Troy Allen.
And I forgot to say he was 50 years old. In El Monte, California, another identified person. Sorry that I can't uplift his name today. On February the 15th, in Indian Wells, California, 33 years old, Royce Robertson.
Royce Robertson.
February the 16th, in Seattle, Washington, and this person again is, it's a man, but not as yet identified. I apologize that we cannot uplift his name. On February the 16th, in Miami, Florida, 51 years old, Juan Peña-Nova.
Juan Peña.
February the 18th, in Greer, South Carolina, a man, but his name and his age have not yet been established. I apologize that we can't uplift him. On February the 18th, in Athens, Georgia, 37 years old, Timothy Statham.
Timothy Statham.
On February the 19th, in Chillicothe, Montana, 34 years old, Timothy Franson.
Timothy Franson.
February the 20th, in Villa Hills, Kentucky, 57 years old, Randall Lockerbie.
Randall Lockerbie.
February the 20th, Albuquerque, New Mexico, 40 years old, Claude Trevino.
Claude Trevino.
February 20th again, in Lenoke, Arkansas, 38 years old, William Ice.
William Ice.
Again on the 20th of February, in Lincoln, Nebraska, 30 years old, Haley Stainbrook.
Haley Stainbrook.
On the 21st, in Bram, Minnesota, a man whose name has not yet been identified. I apologize that we can't uplift him. The same is true on the 21st in Coca, Minnesota. On the 22nd, in McDowell County, North Carolina, 30 years old, Clayton Adams.
Clayton Adams.
And that's the conclusion of this unfortunate list. We get rid of this system and we end police brutality, we're going to save a lot of lives.
Amen.
Amen. And so I have a question. So that was a list just from this week, from last week leading up to it.
It was February the 8th to the 22nd.
And that's horrible. That is disgusting. And I think it's real important that we know about like these names, because these are names that we won't see on the news. I didn't hear about any of them. It's just really sad. So
That's right.
and that makes all the reason for us to make sure that we support mass action efforts and more so support the family of George Floyd as they go through these trials, which I call the Doug and Pony Show, because I honestly don't think and I could be wrong, but I'm not hopeful in this system at all. This is a system that is designed to do what it's doing. That's wipe us out. And they don't care. Like, they always come with foolishness. And I see they already setting the stage because they were like showing pictures like a while back because he had some type of drug in his mouth. They're like, man, these people are sick. They are real sick. When you're dealing with some sickos, this is what we're dealing with, sickos. So I'm not gonna be surprised if this birdie come back sick. So, but as we prepare, we want the world to know that we definitely not only standing up for and with George Floyd family, we're standing for all of our own families, and that we demand nothing short of our cases being revisited, reopened, and throw them damn killer cops in cell blocks. Because at the end of the day, all these cases that were closed, like I heard one of my sisters that joined us on the Zoom call, my heart goes out. I think her name was Miss Pam. But her son was shot at over 70-something times, and for this mother to come and say she's been fighting for accountability for 5 years, and that's just sad. Somebody like that's beyond overkill. 70-something times? Are you freaking kidding me? 7 times is way too many times. You're talking about 72 plus times. Like I couldn't imagine. So my heart again goes out to all the family, and that gives us definitely get connected. Like even if you can't be in your streets, like Brian had started off by saying, you can do your own direct action rather than be on Zoom. But I hope that the Baltimore families and everybody, even if you are not like experiencing police brutality, just come and we're gonna be giving you guys information. I'm gonna get with Brian tonight because he's going to sit there doing the main flyers. And Brian, let me ask you a question so I can make sure I get it right where I have you on the line. Because I remember we were in a meeting. The question came up like with the different people, like the different families or people around the world, that might want to do their own action and needed you guys to like do that. Because I know you said you had a flyer that all we had to do was just give you the information. Is that flyer still on? Is that still available?
You said like is a general flyer available for people to use?
Remember it was like a template of the flyer we was going to use, and it was going to have the justice for George Floyd and justice for all type of thing. I thought we was going to use that one main flyer, but like if I needed it, we could just put like West Coalition and just the other different.
Yes. Yeah. So that should be ready by tomorrow if it doesn't already exist. Let me just say that if you're interested in getting information on that, you can email justice 4 all at M as in Mary aapb.org. That's justice 4 all at maapb.org. And earlier you said something, Tawanda, and I think you're onto something. You said that there might be a serial killer out here. And I just want to say that I think the biggest serial killer in the United States is U.S. capitalism, because it is responsible for the police who murder everybody, the conditions about water that we know about that's led to many deaths, and the working conditions that we all face that have led to maimings, the lack of care in this COVID crisis that has led to the deaths of hundreds and hundreds of thousands. And all of those things, to me, are part of the same institution, and they see us the same way that the cops see one of us in a hoodie out at night. So, man, this was just a powerful show, and I'm just so glad that my opportunity fell on this particular night. But yeah, you can reach us at that email address.
Very good to have you with us.
Yes, and thank you. And then also, like if you need any like graphic pictures or stuff like that, or whoever's doing the flyer, let me know. Cause our brother Ben, he is amazing with the graphic work, so I can connect us together, type of thing, so we can just work this thing out. Let's get it.
We already connected on Facebook while this was all happening.
Well, let's do it. Because I was late joining in on it, so I apologize again, but I had to wrap some unfinished business up at work, because y'all know I would have been in queue earlier, so definitely apologize for being late. But anyway, so before we close out, do anybody want to we have any more comments or questions?
So we had a comment on YouTube about a particularly brutal incident of police brutality. AC Britt said on YouTube, Elijah McClain from Aurora, Colorado, he was given a lethal dose of ketamine. Ketamine use is another awful tactic that police around the country are trying to use for quote-unquote mental excitement, and they force paramedics to administer it.
Yeah, that was the brother with the that played violin.
So they administer like a drug to cause some type of deranged state. Is that how y'all interpret it?
No, so ketamine is designed to. It's supposed to calm people down. Is the goal. There's actually a really good podcast that details this in more detail. But ketamine is designed in such a way that it's supposed to calm people down who are having a psychotic episode. However, it's being administered by police officers who are not trained in who is and who is not having a psychotic episode, and they are using it as a tool to calm anybody down. They just will authorize the injection of anybody who they deem is unruly in any way, and justify it by saying that this person is having a psychotic or a high. There's a technical word for it, like a high stress state or something like that. And so by them, they're authorizing medical procedures on the ground to people. And the fact of the matter is that ketamine can kill you. You can overdose on it. If you have some kind of other underlying medical condition, a shot of ketamine can kill you. And it did with Elijah McClain. I can see some comments on YouTube, and also AC Britt has also said that a bunch of violinists were assaulted by police officers. And what AC is referring to is that after Elijah McClain was killed, Elijah McClain was a black violinist. He was a busker. He enjoyed playing in public areas. And so in protest, people in Aurora joined up and in a park played violins in protest. Excited delirium. That's what the term is. Thank you, AC. But in protest, they played violins, and the police showed up in riot gear and assaulted the violinists who were playing violins in the park in memorial of Elijah McClain. So, yeah.
Yeah, Ben, if I could expand a little bit. Yeah, ketamine was originally created and used as an animal tranquilizer for those dart guns that you always see where they shoot the animal with the dart and it falls out. That's what ketamine was originally used and designed for, and it was only later that it was administered to people to human beings. Excited delirium is the phrase that is used to authorize the delivery of this animal tranquilizer, and it is a supposed psychological condition which is basically undocumented outside of people having encounters with the police. That it's not something that you would hear about, say, in a mental institution. They don't say so-and-so was in excited delirium. Psychologists don't see excited delirium. Excited delirium is something that police say to put people in a category where they're allowed to restrain them and administer these drugs. And Elijah McClain was given a dose of ketamine for someone twice his body weight because the paramedic who arrived on the scene just sort of said, he looks like a 250-pound guy to me, and shot him with that dose of ketamine, and there was no, and so that's at least partially what happened to him. But it's a dangerous drug to give to anyone under any circumstances. It can depress respiration. It can kill you. Just as in reaction to another drug that's in your system. If you're already on certain psychiatric drugs, or if you're just intoxicated with alcohol, it suppresses breathing, and so you can wind up dead for at random.
And I'm glad y'all brought that word up about excited delirium, because my family basically stayed on their heels, and it took them 155 days to give us back a post-truth autopsy foolishness. And we kept saying, you're not going to create this thing to say that my brother had excited delirium. And it basically is, in their terms, it's like they're this super Negro. They got all this exuberant strength, and then they basically die from a heart attack. Not the fact that you killed them or something, and they're trying to make it seem like they got some type of drug in their system. So regardless if they administer the drugs or not, that's the type of foolishness, the BS that they put, and they always try to say to get off on murdering us, bloody murder, because they know that these are the things that they can get off with. And one last thing before we close out, I just wanted to say that I'm very, not surprised, but I'm very disappointed at the way they watered down Jill Carter's bill. We wanted the full total repeal, nothing short, nothing less. And they came, that's why I'm not down with this reform foolishness. It's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of crap, sorry. It's a bunch of crap. They watered it down, they gutted it completely out. Like, man, oh my goodness, it's ridiculous. But and the thing was, they knew they wasn't going to do anything, but the fact that we had 90% of people, lottie-dottie, and everybody was pushing for a total repeal this time. That was a different, that's just something that I never seen, and we've been going at this thing, trying to eat at this thing for years, but for us to get that high of a number, and that just shows you the power of the power of the FOP. It's disgusting. But I just wanted to share that. Then I also want to give a special shout out to all of our special guests, Sebastian, our brother Brian, who brought the fire and the flame. And I want to ask them, do they have anything that they want to close out with? And do anybody from the West Coalition have anything that they want to add or might want to say before we wrap up? Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
March 6th, 2 p.m. Eastern. Come out with everything you got. Make sure, if you're in a city where there's some family who has faced the brutality of police, to reach out to them and make sure that they're the center of what you're doing. If you do that, we're going to make big noise on the 6th, headed for May.
It's 8 o'clock.
I love y'all, and I look forward to seeing some of y'all out in these streets for the right reasons.
Thank you.
Absolutely, definitely be ready. So again, I just want to thank each and every last one of you guys for all the hard work, dedication, pure love, pure strength, just everything. Fighting the love, fighting with integrity, fighting for what's right. And that's so that another human being, even though we cannot save, unfortunately, we can't save the victims from their own demise, like they're already gone. It's unfortunate. But if we can stop another family from feeling this type of pain that never ever goes away, it's definitely worth fighting. So definitely join us on the 6th. March the 6th. We're definitely going to turn up. I don't care if it's 100 people, I don't care if it's 10 people, I don't care if it's 2 people. We're going to still turn up and bring all the smoke in a positive direction. Because we really don't want this stuff to start burning down again, because and I'm not one that pushes like violence or anything, but how many more people gotta get killed before people say, you know what, I'm tired of this. It's like, you guys are forcing people to do things when they're trying to do things right, and all we asked for was a total repeal, and what did y'all do? Y'all smacked us in the face again. It's just really sad. But until it happens to your family, I wouldn't wish this on anyone, but you guys will never know this pain. The pain hit different when it's your loved one, when it's your family member, when it's your friend, when it's somebody that you care about. It hits totally different. You know, you might can feel like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for family. I pray for them, but until it actually hit you, that's a deep penetration. That's unreal that I don't want anyone to feel. But until your loved one is snatched from police brutality, community violence, from the serial killer, from all the stuff that's taking our life, right? Until your loved one is snatched, the pain hit different. But let's see what we can do right now to try to save lives. We started off with Brian's toolkit, mass action toolkit. We want, you know, talking, heard our first sister. So we're going to continue, we're going to close out with the video. So again, live to love, love to live. I love you all, and I just want to say before we wrap up and close out. Baltimore City got some explaining to do on what happened to my cousin Tyrone. So what happened to my big brother Tyrone West? That was murdered because nobody's still being held accountable. More importantly, what I was getting ready to say is so traumatized. Baltimore City has some explaining to do what happened to my cousin Tavon Anderson that we know as Sheepy. I call him Sheepy, so every time I say his name, that just sounds like I'm calling a foreign name because I always call him my Sheepy. That's my Sheepy. And I fight like hell for him, and they're going to tell us something. So we'll be coming at you guys really soon. So I love you. Remember, live to love to live. I love you all. And Brian, can you take us out with that till we win? Because I love you.
How long?
Until
Till we win. How long?
Till we win.
Yeah.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Mic check.
Can't stop, won't stop till these killer cops are myself.
Can't stop, won't stop. Killing cops to the kill block.
Hi, my name is Adrian Hood, and I am the mother of Henry Green V, who was killed by 2 plainclothes police officers here in Columbus, Ohio. I am also a member of Ohio Families United Against Police Brutality. On March 6th, we will be standing in solidarity with George Floyd's family in preparation for his murder trial that will start on that following week. We are asking for the nation's support, and we are asking for this in one of 4 ways. Either do a march or rally in your local area, or a car caravan for those who cannot walk. And for those that cannot do either of those, maybe you can do a virtual event in solidarity. And for others, you might want to just do a video to show your solidarity. And if you choose to do that, please use the hashtag J for Floyd, J for all. That's J, the number 4, Floyd, J, the number 4, all. We have created a toolkit that is family centered. So if you want to show solidarity on this day, please contact us and we will get it out to you immediately. Again, the date will be March the 6th. We will also be doing something on May the 24th, which is the anniversary of George Floyd's death.
Hi everyone, I am the sister of Tyrone West. My brother Tyrone West was brutally executed right here in Baltimore City. My family, the West family, started something called West Wednesdays, and we started the West Coalition, where we fight to hold police officers accountable, not just for my brother's brutal execution that took place on July 18, 2013. He was beat to death in broad daylight. Why? Because officers can do that. I call it modern day lynching. It's a big problem. You know, for someone to be tortured and then they play all these games. But I have came together with Mass Action to fight this ugly fight, because together we will win. We will win. But just to let you guys know, I am from Baltimore City. I'm not going anywhere. I plan on fighting, and our central demand is revisit, reopen all the cases, because these cases shouldn't have never been closed in the first place. That's why it's called legalized genocide. We must realize the dog and pony show when we see it. This is the dog and pony show. When the unarmed black man, woman, or child could be executed for no reason, and even in some cases, armed men and women that are trying to surrender are just gunned down, but yet they can walk down the roof to accountability with a burger and a bulletproof vest. You know, something needs to be done, and I'm never going to stop until killer cops are in some blocks. So please join us. I'm starting something in my own city, joining with Mass Action on March the 6th. We will be doing an action. Until we win, guys, we're never going to stop until these killer cops are in cell blocks. The Dog and Pony Show is real. Here in Maryland, I just testified in Annapolis, spent the whole day, whole night online, thank goodness, from the comforts of my home. But it's just sad and disgusting, and again, they watered down the bill. It gives the officers, places them above the law, and allows them to kill with immunity. So something needs to stop. One fight, one purpose, one cause, until we win. Thank you.
And how long will we be here?
Till we win.
Until we win.
Can't stop, won't stop until killer cops are in cell blocks. Until we win. Until we win.